Hi everyone, and for pretty much the first time I think on this channel, I am coming in front of the camera to wish you all a very happy new year, happy holiday season, and just to do a quick review, as it were, of 2014 on the whole and what I'm looking to do in 2015. 2014's been a really it's been the toughest year of my life, and it's also been the most rewarding year of my life. Just so you guys are aware, the year started pretty much. My mother had to have pretty much emergency retinal surgery done first day of the year. Near as makes no difference. We spent the next 3 months sort of praying she wouldn't lose sight in one of her eyes, which fortunately she came through. I was working self-employed at the time. But I was doing some PAYE work on the side as well to try and just keep everything going together, because I'd begun to really sort of not be a big fan of being in self-employment. It had been 12 months, and it generally wasn't something that I was enjoying. And around the May period, I kind of lost the sort of major source of income, source of self-employed income at that point. And so I was left with being back on PAYE employment, which, is fine as far as I was concerned. It was probably where I wanted to be. Now, there's a phrase that gets bandied around an awful lot. You've often seen in The Matrix and various other things, Babylon 5, etc., that you don't know someone until you fight them or you make them mad. And in June, I got the news that topped all of the ones that I currently had, and that was that I had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Now, at this point in time, obviously the year is not going well at any way, shape or form, but things have been going well in the background. The job that I was in was very good, very stable. I'd had my contract extended. I've had it extended a couple of times since, and it keeps going. It's really nicely ticking along. However, that news just utterly brought everything to the front, and that was where I had to make a decision on how or where I was going to go, how I was going to approach this. Was I going to let it beat me? Was I going to end up, on metformin or even worse, insulin for the rest of my life? I decided not to. I decided to make a change. At the time, I'm 6'3". I'm not the shortest guy in the world, but the weight that I had on me at the time was unacceptable. I was flirting with major disaster, and when I spoke to the doctor about it, in fact, we'll just rewind a little bit. After I had been diagnosed, I was diagnosed 20th of June. I spent that entire weekend doing nothing but research into how to treat it manually, whether it was beatable, and finally decided that it was. I was going to make life changes that needed to be made. There's a reason why my channel pretty much shut down for a long period of time. I had to change my entire lifestyle, and that was what I ended up doing. I went in for a meeting with the dietitian at the Knutsford Manchester Road Medical Surgery in Knutsford, which they have been incredibly supportive throughout this, so big kudos to everyone there. I went in utterly loaded. I had meal plans, I had shopping lists, I had the whole diet plan prepared for what I was going to do. She agreed with it. She was pretty wowed by it, was what I was told later. And the week after, when I had to speak to the diabetic nurse, the scale of what I was up against actually finally hit me. I was given the results of my blood test, the new test which says how many millimoles of glucose are bound to your red blood cells. For those of you who want a reference, 42 is seen as borderline diabetic, 48 is seen as diabetic. That's where you're officially diagnosed, and anything over sort of 56 is treat this person immediately, something's badly wrong. My blood sugar levels was 79, it was incredibly high. However, because I'd come in as prepared as I was given the chance to fix it myself rather than have it fixed for me, as it were. But the doctor gave me a warning. Whether it was reading between the lines or not, he gave me a warning. He said, when I first came into this profession, diabetes was a 33%, was basically 33% off your life expectancy. He said, obviously we can manage it an awful lot better now, but you still need to do a few things. And for me, reading between the lines, the message was completely clear there. The message was, you are not going to make 50 if you keep going the way you have done. So we said we'll revisit it in 3 months, and I made the changes that were necessary. I changed my diet completely. I went on a really big, I wouldn't say it's a no-carb fast, it's certainly not Atkins level, but I did a lot of reading on what's called glycemic load. I did a huge amount of research on it, came up with a complete diet that I decided to follow. And 3 months later, I went and got a fasting blood test done. And I asked them, when will I know my results, and when am I going to have a follow-up appointment with the nurse? Well, I had the follow-up appointment with the nurse pretty much immediately, and during those 3 months it turned out I had lost 18 kilograms, or 40 pounds if you work in those units. 3 stone if you're British, and therefore awesome. So they were quite wowed about that in 3 months, and I was basically put on a, they basically said, if your blood sugars are below 56, and we've got to assume they've dropped because it's almost impossible that they haven't with that degree of weight loss, you will keep you away from metformin. And I was waiting for the result to come back sort of 57 or 58 or something like that, where I'm like, please don't put me on metformin, give me another 3 months. I was told that the test would be ready sort of towards the beginning of the week after. However, when I got home on the Thursday, the phone rang, and I was like, oh God, it must be bad. So if she's calling me now, this has got to be bad. She rang me up and she said, I have some unbelievably incredible news. We've got your blood sugar levels back, and your blood sugar level is 38. So for those of you who've been paying attention, that is under the diabetic threshold. In 3 months, I had reversed type 2 diabetes. Now, obviously, I was fairly overwhelmed regarding that, but it was a case where I couldn't stop at that point. If I'd have stopped, there would have been, consequences. I had changed my life in 3 months. I wanted to continue that. I was doing incredibly well at work and everything like that, and people were obviously noticing. And so I kept going, and support from everyone on Facebook was unbelievable. Suddenly more energy, more ability to get around. The symptoms of diabetes can really be, they can stay hidden for a long period of time, and once they actually manifest themselves, you are in trouble because you probably had it for 2 or 3 years. That was in fact something that the specialist at the surgery told me. Basically said, you've probably been diabetic for 2 or 3 years and not known about it. And then you look back on everything that you were eating at that point and just go, oh God, how am I not dead? And so I kept going, and we've just gone past 6 months as this goes, and my total weight loss at this point is now 73 pounds. It's 5 stone 3 pound for UK and awesome, and it's 33 kilograms if you're European. So from utter despair in sort of the middle of the year, I had the whole sort of idea of, why is this happening to me? There's absolutely no reason for this to be happening to me. All the sort of downbeat thoughts that you get in your head, it's like, God, I've got to keep fighting yet another thing that's going on here. And it's turned around to the fact that at the end of this year, I am healthier and I am happier, and even down to financially, I am better off than I have been for the past 10 years, I would say. And I'm just incredibly grateful to have been given a second opportunity. Not many people get a second chance at life, especially when they've got to fight themselves, and that's something that I've been given. So, as far as 2014 goes, taught me some very important lessons. Continue to learn them in 2015. Continue to develop. I'll continue to keep posting things. I know that I go. I know that I go off kilter sometimes or not. Thank you for those of you who have subscribed, stayed with the channel, etc. Thank you to every one of my friends who supported me throughout all of this. Thank you to the people who gave me money at Christmas, because I've got to buy an entirely new wardrobe now, because I've gone down like 2 or 3 clothes sizes and it's absolutely ridiculous. I've lost almost a foot off my waistline. So this is definitely something which is going to it's going to have long-term repercussions, but I'm continuing with the lifestyle. I have to. If you guys are interested in learning more about it, I will be perfectly happy to answer any questions that are in the comments. If you're diabetic yourself and looking for help into it, remember it was type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes can't be reversed by any method that we know, although I think there's sort of stem cell research going on into it, but you can't just reverse type 1 diabetes through diet. Type 2 you can, and that is something that I think it's very important that if you are even on the fringe of it, it's something that you should look out to, because I had no idea how much it was affecting my life, and I am just really so grateful that I've managed to get rid of it. Well, maybe not get rid of it. I've always got to be careful, because it can always come back if I let things go back to the way they were. It can always come back. Quick shout out before I finish. The 2 people who've been most supportive have been my parents through all of this. They even decided to go on the same diet just to see what I was going through. Between the pair of them, they've lost. What have they lost now? Between the pair of them, they've lost about 45 or 50 pounds between them as well. So obviously this stuff works, but I'm incredibly grateful for their support and looking forward to 2015. So I will say with some cheer, thank you very much for watching, and thank you for staying with me through 2014. And I look forward to producing more stuff for you in 2015. Happy New Year, everyone.